Welcome to the Chimps Tea Party, formerly known as episode 45 of the Wise Mind Fireside Chats, Wi-Fi Chats. I say Chimps Tea Party because this is our second attempt at using Riverside. The first one, none of us could get into it. The second one, it's been like a bunch of old people experimenting with mobile phones back in the day. Oh, it does this. Look. Oh, do I look different? So here we are, episode 45. It could be anything. We honestly don't know, and we hope that you find something in it. But as one of our members said, we don't really have very many subscribers, so we can just celebrate it ourselves. And that brings us to the topic of today, magnificence and magnanimity. And what is the reason behind the fact that many people find it almost impossible to celebrate themselves, to actually recognize their brilliance in certain areas, and to live it? The general reaction, if somebody says, you did a great job there, is to say, oh, this could have been better, or I didn't make it. Why can we just not acknowledge, thanks, that was really good, I enjoyed it? So this is our topic, and I know some of our members have views on this. Erika Nadeau, Gabby Sheshlock, Brett Corcoran, our conversationalists. The floor is yours.
What popped straight away into my mind thinking about why don't I celebrate my wins is actually my school days. And I think it's probably cultural in most countries. When you go to school and you have to write exams and tests and you're marked. And if you think about it, you could have had 90% of the test right. And what did the teacher concentrate on? The 10% you didn't get. So I think for me, when I thought about it there, straight away, this feeling came up because I always judge myself on those 10% I didn't get. It's almost like a habit. I forget what I actually did well, and I straight away concentrate on what I didn't do well. It's almost like I'm still in school and I have to go back starting to get the other 10%. How do you feel about that? Or
frequently you would even go home and say, I got 9 out of 10 on my arithmetic test today, and the focus is on what was the one that you got wrong. That completely resonates with me as a childhood memory.
I can say that I totally agree with that. It was always like, oh, I got a 99. Well, why couldn't you get 100 kind of thing come back? But for me, when Alec was first bringing up the topic, what I was feeling was, why is it so hard to self-acknowledge, right? Other people can acknowledge when you do something well, but to self-acknowledge and to celebrate yourself almost feels showy, right? I think it's something about feeling conceited or feeling full of yourself to actually be the one to say, holy shit, look how awesome I did at this. And that also is an old teaching. Like that comes from cultural, family, whatever goes on, where nobody likes a braggart. I would hear that a lot growing up. There's humility. There's all sorts of, so even if you're really good at something, it was not looked upon kindly to celebrate yourself. So I think that's why, for me personally, it feels hard to be the one to say it, or to even, it goes so far even to accept a compliment even about something that you do well, or even if you're wearing something nice and, hey, I like what you're wearing. Some people are quick, women a lot are quick to say, oh no, this old thing, or this was a hand-me-down, or oh, I only paid $10 for this. You have to quantify it to not be all full of yourself. It's a thing. It's an old learning that is, for me, feels really hard to unlearn or to relearn a different way to do it.
I think it's got real impact for us. People watching this may not know that we've got our own businesses. All of the details for all of our panelists are always in the comments. But actually, even putting ourselves out there as an expert, and I use that term guardedly because we're only ever claiming expertise in our lived experience and authority on a subject because of how we have experienced it, rather than putting ourselves up there as the of all things relating to. And there's still a reluctance to do that in marketing for many sort of solo entrepreneurs is really difficult. And if you were to ask what's your initial feeling about marketing yourself and promoting what you're really good at, most people would turn around and say, oh, no, I don't want to appear to be exactly as you've said, Erika. I don't want to put myself forward. There's so many other people in the marketplace. There's the comparison with them. And it follows through from potentially childhood right the way into our modern lives, our modern businesses. You're thinking of some of the big names in personal growth and self-development. Do Brene Brown and Tony Robbins struggle with this pushing themselves forward, I wonder?
There's always this fine line, isn't it, between arrogance and actually acknowledging your real potential. And I'm with you, Erika. For me as well, it's this thought, oh, if I say I'm really good at this, will I sound arrogant now? Nobody likes an arrogant person. Or even the self-doubt. Now, if I say I'm brilliant this and then I can't really deliver what I say I will do, right? What will people think? So there's this fear of judgment then as well. Oh, she boosted herself so much, and look, well, she's no better than, or well, I had another workshop with somebody else and that was better. So there's a lot of self-doubt there as well in it for me.
I'm really glad you brought that up because Alec and I know for sure, have had conversations about arrogance and confidence. What really is the difference? Because to me, I think when we had this talk, I was speaking about myself, how in historically, if you give me a TV show or a movie with fictional characters or somebody, or even real life, which most of the time for me personally, it would be like an athlete in a sporting context. The more arrogant the personality or the character, the more attracted I am to it. And there's something in that to me. I find arrogance, it's semantics. I don't know if it's arrogance or if it's just somebody who's super confident and is able to walk the walk and back up what they're saying with their skill or whatever it is. I find that to be an appealing quality. And I don't know if it's just the strength in it, because I find that there's strength and confidence. And if you have strength and confidence, that equates to arrogance to someone else, possibly. So this is a whole nother conversation that I'm really interested in because of this lack of being able to celebrate, but knowing I'm really good at something and stopping myself from saying, no, I'm good at that because I'm worried that somebody else is going to think I'm arrogant. What do I give a shit if you think I'm arrogant? That's your problem, not mine, right? I don't know.
I find it hilarious that you've just used as an example there something that some people would find arrogant. I don't give a shit. It's your problem. Most people would use that as a definition of arrogance. But I got to say, without judging that, most of the way we handle anything is always our interpretation, our filters, our perspectives. We know this. We build these over our lifetimes. So we want to be able to celebrate the magnificence of the things we do. The magnanimity part is the humility, and in combination, they should remove, and I put air quotes around should, they should remove any sense of arrogance. And yet, and I guess with TV shows and movies and stuff, there's the extension of the arrogance. But many people find overconfident people either intimidating or annoying. So how do we even come to balance this? And Brett, I'm aware you've said very little so far, so
I'm silent. I'm sitting, I'm listening, taking it all in. I don't know, I'm sitting here and just really wondering. I'm hearing everything that everybody's saying, and then I'm saying, so how did this stuff play out even? That's a different conversation, right? So not having to, I guess, celebrate the wins and always looking at the negatives. Where did that play out in our lives now? Always having that. And that's a whole nother conversation. And I was looking at that end of it, thinking about that. And wow. So I wonder what road that brought us down and how we still fall into that same position where, wow, there was still that little bit that I could have done better. You can always do better, right? So how does that play out in our daily routine? So I was running that through my head as I was listening. And so I'm really curious about that part now.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm going to drop Jenny Slater Business as a connection here. A couple of us have been working with her in a business accountability role, and we had a conversation the other day, and what came up in that for me was that my business is a physical manifestation of the purpose that I feel passionate about. And therefore, income from my business is nothing more than a benchmark of the reach that I'm creating. So my purpose, I know, is valid and has some kind of virtue and character behind it. So I should have no problem in promoting my business and reaping the rewards from it, because they are just a means of measuring, let's call it spiritual drive, the purpose behind it. So that has really changed for me how I feel about promoting myself and promoting my business. I wonder if any of you have anything like that.
It's not exactly about that. I'm thinking about what Brett just said, because knowing all of you the way that I do, there's always the desire to strive to be better, right? There's always, I can do better. I want to do better. It's not from any external factor making me want to do that, but it's an internal, personal, I can do better and I want to do better. But for me, that has nothing to do with also being able to celebrate a win and purposefully retraining myself to recognize when I have done this and I've done this pretty good. Do I still have more to go? Yes. One thing, and I hope I always do, because the time that I don't have anything else to do is a danger zone for me. That's not where I ever want to be. But I can still strive to do better and always feel like there's better to do and celebrate what I have done. They can exist at the same time, I think. I'm more interested in the arrogant part, the arrogant confidence conversation, which perhaps we can do at another one, different, separate altogether, but an exploration about the difference between arrogance and confidence. And what is the difference between the two? Is arrogance just gone through life with a bad reputation? Poor little arrogance is running around like, I got a bad rap. This is not, everybody's thinking negative about me, but I'm really not so bad. It's okay to stand in your power of what you're good at and speak about it. I don't know.
For me, arrogance always meant that I don't see reality for what it is. It's overestimating myself, overestimating my skills, thinking I'm better than I really am, giving up learning and growing because I think I know it all. Famous I know it all kind of idea, and thinking I'm simply the best and no one is better than me. No one can even do the same than I can because I'm so brilliant. That's for me arrogance. So it's very different from confidence, where I know how to do it. I have experience. I did loads of them. I'm still learning each time, but I'm confident enough to go out there and do it and put myself out. That's confidence. While arrogance is, for me, I'm the best. Nobody can be better than me.
I don't really like to come to dictionary definitions. We know that one person's confidence is another's arrogance, but like Gabby said, from a purely syntax semantic, the definition of arrogance is an overblown confidence in one's ability and then not being able to follow through with it. So I guess the proof of that is in the person's action, and we know judge someone by their actions rather than their words. But I'm just wondering, as we come to conclude this one, is the general message that this is something that we learned, and it's something that potentially, with Socratic questioning, with conversations with peers, that we could actually overwrite and challenge the truth of it, so that we can go more magnificently and with more magnanimity into our days and our lives.
But I think what we actually tend not to do is actually asking other people for feedback and proper feedback, right? Maybe because we are afraid what they say, maybe because we associate feedback with giving out, right? Maybe we think of feedback only as in school, people will only point out the lack I have still in a skill. So asking people for feedback when we are in doubt and actually have people say, look, celebrate this. Look how far you have come. So looking back, where was I a year ago? Where am I now? And actually acknowledging how far I came is really important. And actually asking people for feedback is important as well, because I feel that keeps me in reality and also gives me the kind of feedback where I can also stay in the positive rather than always looking for the negative.
I think that to answer Alex's question, it was definitely a learning. I don't think we pop out of the womb with this. I'm not going to celebrate myself. I think that this is a learned behavior. It's directly given to us either by hearing things like I said earlier, nobody likes a braggart, or have some humility, whatever that's supposed to mean, or you watch the people in your life growing up and how they behave. And you say, well, I guess that's the way it's supposed to be done. Better to exist quietly than be a show off or showy or whatever those things. So I definitely think it's learned behavior that can be relearned and unlearned. Like Gabby said, though, it does help when you have a trusted village around you of people who you can trust are going to tell you the truth one way or the other. No, definitely celebrate the hell out of that. Or you're a little, you need to in your head a little bit so it fits through the doorway. Chill out. You're okay. I think that is definitely helpful. But as far as getting and asking for feedback, the one thing I think has to be in place is you have to be willing to actually accept it, even if it's the positive. We're more willing to accept the negative and say, yeah, I did that shitty, than we are to say, holy crap, look at all these people that are telling me I'm really good at something. Maybe it's time for me to actually see the same and speak about it.
Brett?
Closing thought. Celebrate your wins, no matter how big or small. And it's okay to share it. Just, it's how you share it. If you're bragging about it, right? That's, I think, the way it may come off wrong.
Mm.
It's really looking at your audience. Who am I around right now? They'll appreciate this, and I want to share this with them. Because some people are just going to be like, and cut you right off as you're trying to share. And you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't share that. No, you should. There's no reason why you shouldn't. So,
And I guess, like Erika's said and Gabby sort of hinted at as well, if we're receiving praise, then accepting that we don't have to accept feedback from everybody, and we should probably even be careful about whose feedback we listen to. There can be no arrogance in just accepting that without trying to deflect it or minimize it. And if you're not doing that, then there's humility, which leads to magnanimity. And if we have those in a little line, then we can celebrate the hell out of whatever that magnificent thing was that we've just achieved. Recognizing that magnificent might be different for different people on different days as well. So thank you all. We will be back in the next episode. And Erika just mentioned Village, the community of which we have support, and that is going to be our next topic of conversation. So join us for that one. Until then, cheerio, take care.